Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Dogbout333, and welcome back to Hearts Ride for the New Order Last Days of Europe as Novosibirsk. Now, in the last video, let's see, we have some socialist agitators that we're trying to put down, or, we're working on our, our agricultural base, all of that, and also, we fucking ate Tomsk before spring broke out. So yeah, we're doing fucking insane right now. Yeah, this Novosibirsk is fucking overpowered, and I'm okay with that. Stability has to be increased within the Federation. We cannot risk any form of dissent in case it evolves into a more violent form of resistance. We cannot allow violence to occur. We owe the people peace within the borders that they live. They surely understand this. The government has to tighten its control over the state. After all, they are aware of the dangerous alternatives to stronger authority. Because of this reason, they must be allowed to strengthen their grip. They know what it is and is not good for the Federation, and that they will make sure everyone is safer. A bit more worker discontent, but, that'll come and go. We'll do some more internal investigations. Get some more manpower building up. So hopefully we'll be ready to go for the next investigation. Captain Slava Kashkukov had, as per instructions, come alone. He was unused to the spy business. His body whipcord tense and sweaty under civilian clothes. He sat at his table in the cafe, appearing as unassuming as natural as possible. Slava sipped nervously at his tea, not really tasting anything but the steam. Where was his contact? Minutes went by, and Slava was nervous to the point of nausea. But at last, a slender man sat at his table. Slava's heart sank. No, not him. Ludimir Toshev, lieutenant in the All-Siberian Army, and one time friend of Slava, was seen in front of him. Toshev's eyes glittered to see his old friend across the table, but not saying a word of acknowledgement. Slava, too, kept his composure as best he could. Andreevich? Began Slava, using the code name provided to him by superiors. Toshev nodded. So you must be Borya. More nods, more nervous and knowing glances. Papers were covertly slipped under the tables. Co-workers exchanged. The meeting concluded. The two friends parted ways. With a heavy heart, once he was far away from the cafe and alone, Slava called his superiors in the army to report Ludimir Toshev for treason. The right hand strikes down the left hand. Knock down the army experience. Yeah. Now you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta get these goddamn socialists out of this place, Get them out of here. If a daily gain gonna be enough? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is there anything to boost war support down here? War planning. Let's do some war planning. That'll actually help us out pretty well. Ludimir Toshev, Narnik embedded deeply in the All-Siberian Army, had just bedded down with his wife Marya after a long day's work when the boots kicked down the door. Shouts and screams erupted from the house as soldiers armed with pistols and shotguns cleared the Toshev household. His children cried. Marya lied huddled in fear, clinging to her husband, and Ludimir stared, stunned at the barrel of the gun levied at him. Lieutenant Toshev, said the soldier behind the shotgun, you are under arrest for treason against Novosibirsk and the Russian people. Ludimir purpled, tongue working in confused terror and rage as he struggled to formulate words. Under whose orders? Ludimir looked at the patch of his soldier's uniforms. Corporal. He finally managed to spit out. The corporal spoke matter-of-factly, clearly unaware of how deeply his words would wound the captain. Captain Slava Kashkukov, order your arrest. Ludimir's face fell, defeat settling in his core. Good God, he had been set up. He went calmly, looking his wife in the eyes for perhaps the last time. Don't worry, darling. I'll be home soon. Our investigation process is increasing. Beautiful. Beautiful. Next, let's do the Vasilievsk state. In contrast to its neighbors in the region, the Federation of Novosibirsk and Altai is a Vasilievsk state policy where the political processes are under the guiding hand of the former and sometimes current military personnel. As a result, many civilian bureaucracies wishing to participate in the traditional party politics find themselves barred from running for office, and the compliance demanded by the Vasilievsk of their non-military counterparts can often be too much. And all of this, they are by design. Russia has moved past the need for a Soviet Union, for a Central Siberian Republic, or for the monstrous and brutal ideologies seeking to dominate Russian political thought. The pedestrians may chant, "fucking Solovsky man," at every injury, but they are not aware of the bastion that protects them from the harm of ideological thought. Of course. Okay, so 21, 42... 63. We should have enough time, I think. Especially with our rate starting to go up more and more of gains. You have 32 action in this area, or 52%. Or progress. Or Rotia, we're losing progress, it seems. Which is interesting. The Vasilievsk state. Let's go ahead and infiltrate patrols in Altai. The soldiers of Novosibirsk, exhausted after hours of slogging through the rugged terrain of Altai, threw down their packs and slumped against the stones. The bitter Russian wind snagged through the mountain peaks, sliding little bits of jerky from flesh from the faces of the men huddled in the rocks. Jerky was passed out, a fire started. 72 hours, friends, said Lichten, flickering open a lighter and pressing the resulting tongue of flame to his crudely rolled cigarette. We've been out here cutting our feet bloody and shifting behind rocks for 3 fucking days. Hey, Boris. Litkin tossed a pebble at the dozing soldier, the stone plinking off his old Soviet helmet. Boris grunted, suddenly straightening. Fuck off, Lichten. Was dreaming about plowing your sister. The smoking soldier ignored him. You see your Nautinix around here? How about you, Luka? He pointed at the mustachioed sniper who looked warily over the rocks. No, mumbled Luka, adjusting his ushanka. No? Not a single one of us has seen hide nor hair of a Narnik since we started patrolling the Altai. I'm starting to think those geniuses' intelligence fucked up. The men joked and complained, dozed against the rocks, and packed up several hours later. As we moved deeper into the mountains, eyes continued to watch from afar. Just who is tracking who? Well, that's the question, isn't it? Will increase the power of the people. President Alexander Pukrishkin sat across the table in Novosibirsk restaurant from his old friend Ahmet Khan Sultan. It had been a long time since he seen his friend, and even longer since they had shared a meal. The lunch was pleasant enough at the start. They engaged in simple small talk for a time until the topic changed to the current state of Federation. Alexander Ivanovich, my friend, I cannot help but worry. You have seemed to lost the old fire you once had. Ahmet's eyes radiated worry for his old friend. Alexander took a long moment to collect his thoughts before he spoke. If I may be honest with you, Ahmet, I am tired. The realities of the Federation's position have drained me, as sure as anything, Ahmet. Ahmet, I know you do not approve of all my actions, of the state we have built, but I know that you understand why it had to be done. The bickering and the backroom deals, this is not a world for foolish idealists, Ahmet. The failures of the old Union around us and the failures of the Republic were what forced our hands. The people of Russia need a strong nation, led by strong men, not pointless words. You have to understand that, but Rishkin's voice rose as he spoke. I'm sorry, Alexander, but I cannot agree. The people are the most important part of this Federation, not the soldiers and the oligarchs. They deserve better than to be tread upon by the boots of the army and corporate security. Ahmet could not help but feel that he had wasted his breath. That nothing he could say would ever change his course. Alexander looked prepared to continue the argument, and he likely would have escalated as well, but before he could, Ahmet let out a hand on his shoulder. Peace, my friend. I did not come here to argue. Besides, I have meetings for the rest of the day. It was good catching up with you, my friend. Goodbye. Decrease the strength of the populace by a small amount, god damn it. And, off them support increases. Well, let's go ahead and ramp up arms production. The army will need more arms if it is to continue to expand large enough to absolutely dominate the region and bring the rest of the lands of Central Siberia into the Federation through threats or force. An increase in production quotas for all armaments is to be ordered by the government to help with the expansion of the armed forces. Many of the recent actions of the government have upset the workers. This is unlikely to improve the situation, and if tensions persist, grave consequences will face the Federation in the future. Well, we'll worry about that when the time comes. What is it looking at like so far? Discontent is low still. We'll go ahead and improve working concessions in a bit. Because so far so good. Tiger of the East, Bulgaria sides with Germany. What's Kemerova up to? An economy for the modern age. Okay. How about... just let's get working. Yeah. How close are we now? 70. Beautiful. Ramp up some more arms productions. Krasnoyarsk, huh? Okay. We will not back down so easily. Licton squinted at the shape that stood in a small clearing ahead of him. Ash fell absently from the cigarette dangling from his teeth. It was a decrepit structure, all rotten wood and broken glass, a door hanging loosely from its frame like a broken jaw. The patrol had followed the little game trail through the Altai forest for hours, assuming that they were once again following a lead long cold, but there it was, squatting in the shadows of the trees like a withered hag. Well, boys, his breath's misting in the cold mountain air. Shall we knock? Patrol advanced, weapons held at the ready, bodies perched low. Boris, rifle aloft, stepped carefully through the underbrush, eyes searching the tree line and ears pricked for any unusual sounds. He should have looked down. It was an old weapon, buried in the fallen leaves and primed with a short length of wire. The Germans called them S-mines, the Russians frog mines. A short crump sound issued from the ground as the mine launched itself to the height of Boris's belly. The Russian's eyes bulged obscenely, pure terror contorting his face. A microsecond later, the mine exploded, throwing thousands of steel balls hurling through the air and through Boris. Patrolman was gutted in an instant. There were soldiers flinging themselves to the ground. Litkin screamed for everyone to stop moving, having to yell over Boris's gurgled howls as he died in pieces. Fear, cold and ice heat poured down their backs. They weren't alone up here. Poor bastard. Manpower gain is better. Let's get fixed the little brick house with a cruel eye. It had been days, a week after Boris had died, and Novosibirsk men had quickly fallen back into military form, knocking off the rust of their languor. Luka watched the building through his scope, a score of Narnik camo, across the similarly painted building, eyes nervous and guns ready. As a search of the cabin had revealed little at first. After a lengthy search, patrolmen had discovered the burned remnants of Narnik documents in the fireplace, indicating a new safe house in Altai. It had taken hours of painstakingly piecing the burned bits of paper back together, but now the patrolman lay in wait for the enemy. Litkin, cigarette absent for once, raised his pistol, waving his men to advance. They killed the first few terrorists with knives, spilling red onto the green. A firefight soon erupted, the crack and pop of rifles and pistols, sending flocks of birds to take to the air. After a brief but fierce gun battle outside the building, the patrolmen assaulted the safe house, breaching the metal doors with grenades before rushing inside. The actual battle took almost half an hour, but to Litkin and his patrol, it felt like an eternity. Lutka was injured, a bloody shoulder, but nothing a few stitches and some vodka when fixed. Handshaking, Litkin reached down to grab a cigarette, but found he couldn't feel his ever-present pack. He looked down and was shocked to see that the first 2 fingers of his left hand were gone. Litkin stared at the bloody ruin of his hand, shock and adrenaline having shielded him from the pain. Numbly, he began to wrap it in a discarded shirt. Their work was done. Another threat to Novosibirsk dealt with. Nothing little R&R won't cure. So there you are. We're getting more war support as this goes along, actually, which is helping a lot. And how bad is the agitation right now? That's getting cut down. Slowly but surely. Let's go ahead and crack down on the strikes. Workers have started to resort to direct action. Factories lay dormant and hollow throughout every city. Production is slow to a sluggish pace. We can only assume that the workers have become uppity because of their unfair conditions, but we cannot concede, or else they will soon be asking for the earth. Our government is determined to crush these strikes and put the working classes back to work. This crackdown will escalate tension with our workers, but a few disgruntled factory laborers being put back to work would be a much more preferable outcome than constant deadlock and economic inefficiency. Well, there we go. Get working on more artillery, and then maybe some air support. Maybe not quite yet, actually. Now to clean up the corpses. Let's work on these guys, then. We'll be good, I think, in time. Medium. Movement worker concessions. There we are, and then we'll work more on Kimarovo. Orotia, really? Oh, I'm so scared of Orotia. Let's get these new rifles going. Very, very nice. Let's get working on it more while we're here. Come on, man. Get moving. Crack down strikes. We will not back down so easily. Thousands of workers were on strike outside of a steel mill in the industrial sector of Novosibirsk. Across the city, similar strikes were being carried out in outrage at the appalling conditions present in the factories. Corporate security guards made a loose and patchy ring around their striking workers, waiting for orders from their superiors on just what to do. Vasily Minkovsky stood in front of a crowd and gave a fiery speech about the injustices of the corporations. He harkened back to the times under Bukharin, when the workers were given generous rights and conditions in the factories were as safe as they could be made. Behind him hung a tattered flag of the Soviet Union. The workers of Novosibirsk had decided they would not stand for the continued abuse. As he came to a lull in his oratory, there was a change in the air. The corporate goons had retreated to the offices across the street. Ooh. Towards the crowd, a man with a megaphone calling for the strikers to return to work. When his demands were unanswered, the IFEs unleashed canisters of tear gas into the crowd. Cries went up as those nearest the gas panicked and fled, eyes and lungs burning. corporate goons advance on the crowd, beating those they caught with their batons. Then the shot rang out. Panicking workers trampled each other to get out of line of fire, while corporate security fired wantonly into the crowd. Vasily tried to regain some semblance of calm, but it was all in vain as he was hit in the gut by a burst of fire from a panicking guard. He fell, reaching for the flag of the Union. As he bled out, watching his friends be gunned down by trigger-happy guards, he wept. All for the pursuit of profit. So that'll increase our worker discontent, which is not nice. I guess they're upset that we're shooting them. Who would have thought? Let's do always an even trade. The Federation is, like many other politites, a collectivity arranged upon the interests of many, classes, corporations, unions. In the government, these all vie for supremacy within a system that allows their forces to coalesce and compromise. As such, the Federation's political system is always a zero-sum game. A move made somewhere can never be reverted. It's a harsh system. Politics have been pitiless and cruel since the beginning of time. As such, the President's decisions matter in a lot of ways, but we cannot foretell what the future holds for the Federation. All we must do is to live with the consequences of actions should they arise. Novosibirsk and Altai gaze at the future, and a cautious optimism rises in the hearts of its citizens. Someday, what Bukharin had built as the center of Siberia shall be the beating heart of a new Russian political system. I guess we shall see, won't we? Start that up. Come on, fellas. Oh gosh, Italy's won the war. Of course they have. The enemy is defeated. Wartime industry. Ooh, okay. We'll let them finish fists up and then we'll go ahead and eat them. We should have enough time. Let's infiltrate the cells. It was a stormy night in Novosibirsk as Anton took his seat. The other Narodniks were talking to each other, but he wanted to lay low. Barely any background checks. Did the Narodniks suspect him, or were they just that incompetent? As an undercover agent of the SB, Anton hoped he wasn't being fed false information. Immediately after sitting down, a man wearing an old army uniform entered into the room, different in age compared to the mostly young students who made up the Narodnik cells. "Good evening, comrades," said the older man. "I'm pleased to welcome our newest recruit, Anton Levitsky, to the revolution. As you know, our fight against the tyrannical Alexander Pokrishkin is only the beginning. The Narodnik as a whole have seen much success, yet our cell has done little to assist the rest of our camaraderie. If the revolution is to succeed, we must aim for large targets." "Like what?" said Anton, turning on his audio recorder. "The army has stepped up their game, and we will have a massive priority for the Novosibirsk government." "I'm sure you know the many rail lines across the Ob River," said the commander. "Taking down an entire bridge will have Novosibirsk cut in half for months." Anton grimaced while the other Narodniks cheered. "If I may ask, Commander, but where are we going to get enough explosives to destroy the bridge? And who's going to do it?" "Looking around, we don't seem very qualified," said Anton. The commander smiled. "We have an excellent amount coming in from our supplier. And Anton, you applied saying you were a demolitions expert in the Red Army, did you not? I think you'll be perfect for the job. Supervise, of course." "Looks like I'm blowing up a bridge for Narodniks, then." "Okay, then." How's our influence? 89%. As soon as this factory finishes up, we are in. Anton stood at the riverside near the bridge as he toyed with the fuse. He was Narodnik's new demolition man, and while the commander was supposed to supervise him, that didn't stop Anton from sneaking into the bomb storage room last night to defuse the bombs. Narodniks would soon be sorely disappointed. "Well, Anton, everything's ready," said Pavel, his cell commander, still wearing that old uniform. Taking out a lighter, Anton took a breath and lit the fuse. "We should probably run back farther. There's a clearing of ways that should lead to good escape." The group of officers waiting to arrest them, Anton thought to himself. He couldn't risk these terrorists getting another chance, even though it was so soon since he joined. "Are you kidding? And missing that beautiful explosion? We can run to that ridge," replied Pavel, and the others agreed. "Wait," but it was too late. The others were already following their command. Anton cursed under his breath and ran after him. Reaching the bridge, Pavel frowned. Anton, why hasn't the bridge exploded yet? Did the fuse break? Another Novik pointed to the bridge. Commander, the SB, we've got to get out of here. Looking at the bridge, it appeared the officers had realized Venarniks were not falling for Anton's trap, instead heading over to cut the fuse. Shit. We gotta go before they see us. Anton froze. If he shouted, the other SB agents might be able to end it all right there, but some Venarniks were armed. Anton looked back to see some Venarniks running, a rifle in a man's arms next to him. I'll have another chance. Let's go ahead and scavenge for some loot. Sit back and see how this all is going. Always even in trade. Next, let's do the Virgin Lands campaign. A new plan has emerged from our government to help alleviate the large amounts of stress that has been put on our agricultural output. Put simply, as our population is inflated, our production of grain has not. This issue is rapidly becoming the greatest crisis in Novosibirsk, besides the enduring pandemic. Fortunately, the plan our government has come up with deals with both the food shortage and the disproportionate population by resettling refugees in farmsteads where the land is yet to be cultivated. Ultimately, this will start improving agricultural output and the lives of the refugees. Here we are. Commander Pavel paced between each and every Narnik member, his head down. It appears we have a spy in our midst. I'm sure we have our suspicions. Pavel stopped in front of Anton, looking at him in the eye. Anton, how do you think the SB knew we were targeting the bridge? I don't know. Sir, perhaps. The commander interrupted. Anton, the SB came out of a clearing, the same clearing you wanted us to escape to. Is that just a coincidence? Anton gulped, pressing down the button to signal the ambush. It was time. Just hope the Narniks didn't shoot him on sight. A crash came from the upstairs at the beginning of a raid. SB agents flooded into the room, down the stairs. Before Pavel knew what was happening, Anton already grabbed his pistol out of Pavel's belt, holding it to his head. Pavel Ordov, you are under arrest for treason against the Federation. The commander laughed. Looks like my suspicions were correct, then. You answered more directly than I would have thought. Comrades, the time has come. Let's show we don't go down without a fight. The Narniks looked at him, then to Anton, then to the SB agents, slowly dropping their weapons with their hands raised, the students having no wish to actually die for the revolution. It looks like you're coming with us, Pavel. Please face towards the wall. One by one, they all will fall. So afterwards, we'll investigate the factories. And let's do it. Classified. Multiple suspects are currently under investigation for disturbing the peace, including inciting violence and for multiple charges of conspiracy. The threat posed by these terrorists is unknown at the time. However, suspects appear to have been involved with Narniks and have capacity to successfully perform industrial sabotage across numerous locations. Suspects discovered putting posters inciting anti-government propaganda, and several suspects discovering the distributing weapons to various workers among the population. After interrogation, several of these workers informed our agents that the suspect wished for the workers to overthrow the bourgeoisie and bring about the workers' revolution. Several workers were given components capable of constructing an explosive device roughly equivalent to C4. No suspects were captured and escaped to unknown locations. Conclusion. It's clear these terrorists among our populations are targeting the working class demographic, and these terrorists appear to be in line with Bolshevik organizations. Further investigation is required, but it's recommended that these suspects be described on the following page, be located and arrested immediately. Industrial sabotage could prove fatal, while our government is so reliant on a handful of industrial centers. We can't let this get out of hand. So I think it's time to eat Kimarovo. There we are. Let's go ahead and core it up. Let's see what we got. A lot of military factories, which is very nice. And we got some research gain efficiency and a reduction in consumer goods. Very, very nice. We are doing very well right now. Honestly, I am greatly impressed. Free military factories. Let's put some stuff towards guns. Just so we can get more of those guys going. Oh, we can go and deploy some units. Finally. Beautiful. Classified. Reference document 7A through 7F, which detail in-depth profiling on top suspects and photos of crime scene. At 1100 hours, a worker employed in a Phoenix arms manufacturing plant detonated an IED while on break. The worker in question, named Ivan Yahanatov, was seriously injured in the blast, but was located and detained by civilian authorities. Yahanatov had been associating with suspected Narniks for several weeks prior to bombing and appears to have collaborated with two other individuals, Sergei Pribnashnetsky, down in the explosion, and Alexei Tunganev. Reported sick day of incident was not found in his residence when investigated. The manager of the manufacturing plant was not harmed and is quite incensed by what he sees as a government failure to contain the Narnik threat. Current estimates place damage at cost equivalent to $2 million USD. There are 17 reported deaths and over 30 wounded, of which 17 are in critical condition. Currently, 5 employees of the plant are not accounted for, while the site too damaged and obstructed to allow further searches until a later point in time. Conclusion: the Narnik threat was greater than previous predictions. Multiple requests for greater resources and for more extensive training have been filed at the time. Phoenix also requested compensation for damage sustained by blast. They may have won the battle, but we will win the war. Drop these guys in Barnal. I'm pretty sure this is not the original general we wanted. Where was he? Did we go with Glinka? I forget. I think we went with Langamak. Of course, a field marshal will go with Nokarov. The Virgin Lands campaign. Probably work on new schools after this. Let's do the beating heart of Siberia. Novosibirsk thrives. The streets are brimming with people, factories are chock full of workers, and any crime that remains is practically unnoticeable. The city is so rich that even the few beggars that remain are fed and decently clothed. Such spectacles are a stark contrast to the anarchy of the east and destruction to our west. It appears that our decision have turned out better than we could have ever expected. Not that there were ever any doubts of our success. Developments in agriculture, industry, and even our stability have made Novosibirsk the most desirable city throughout Siberia, despite the cost of some freedoms. Well, here we go. Yeah, we'll do schools. Konstantin had been rootless for many years. Originally from Tambov, he and his family had fled eastward during the German invasions and subsequent state collapse, and, like so many others, found themselves without almost nothing, having to leave all land and possessions behind. Arriving alongside thousands of others in the refugee communities outside Novosibirsk, he had scrapped by as a laborer when able, while his wife worked in laundry and his son ran errands for merchants and artisans. But no matter what they did, they could not get ahead. There were simply too many people and not enough well-paying jobs. The years of bitter disappointment were such that when his wife told him to sign up for the government's supposed new program, he'd almost not done so, thinking pointless, but now standing along the road beside her and looking at the vast tracts of overgrown wildlands in front of them, he suddenly gave thanks once again, because the land was now theirs. The program intended to address the refugee problem by settling them on vast tracts of untilled land, removing them from the overpopulated communities, while, hopefully, acting to increase the agricultural output. Constantine didn't know how successful the former would be, but he knew very well that, at least in this case, the latter would very much would be. He would make sure of it. There's a lot of very hard work to do. The house had to be essentially rebuilt, the fields needed to be cleared and planted, harvests needed to be planned. Constantine had never been a farmer, but the future promise for his family could not be ignored. They had a home again, land to call their own, and he would ensure that the state was repaid for its generosity. The state provides. And we're doing good. Okay. Alright, sorry. I'm sending a message to someone. Reference. Classified. Reference. Documents 2C and documents 3A through 3K. Documents 3A through 3K. Display in-depth files and descriptions of detained Narniks and several workers ailed with them. Documents 2C displayed a map of known terrorist hideouts cleared by government authorities, along with locations under immediate investigation. 48 hours ago, several Narnik agitators were identified and tracked down by our agent in the field. Alongside information extracted from Yahltov, a series of raids were conducted. Over 17 arrests have been made against Narniks and their allies. Among these arrests are also severely agitated workers distributed weapons by the Narniks. While not all of the currently arrested terrorists have been interrogated, it was clear that Narniks were targeting working-class demographics with propaganda and had already succeeded in converting workers to their cause. Currently, known Narnik sympathizers are still being brought in and investigated. Arrests and interrogations are predicted to continue for the next several weeks until the safety of our industry can be guaranteed. Conclusion: it is believed that Narnik's capacity to perform industrial sabotage and weaken our government has been substantially impacted by the series of arrests and raids conducted by our forces. The Narniks will likely not target factories for some time until they believe government surveillance of factory workers has been diminished. It has been requested that this investigation be made a low-priority operation due to the decreased threat to our industry. The Narniks shall prey upon our workers no more. Beautiful. So socialist agitators, it's gone. We'll go ahead. Can't quite launch the final raid. Hopefully we'll have time to. Shit. Come on. Right? Well, we can make it. Yeah, I think we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Yeah, it's only 7 days instead of 21. Just let me know when we're good to go. I'll just keep clicking on this until we can launch it. There we go. The men stood by the sill, calmly, and waited their turn to jump. Took exchange secretary out with a crash. Chief Glinka, his steely eyes glittering in front of the projector, tapped his baton against the screen for the upteenth time. The smoky room was full of serious-faced SB agents, little fireflies of burning cigarettes, adding an eerie atmosphere to the dark room. The safe house was large and well fortified, constructed in a hidden bunker, constructed in Bukharin's time. The Narniks had chosen well. This would be one hell of a tough nut to crack. I'll be frank with you. More than a few of us are going to die breaking into the fortress. From our experience in Altai, we know that the terrorists have access to S-mines, so expect the way in to be heavily mined. The door is reinforced steel, and will take some serious firepower to break it open. Luckily, the army will be providing what excess explosives they can. The crowd won't silence their eyes on Glinka, or scouring the battle map on the projector screen. It will be one hell of a fight. This is going to be your hardest test yet, but relying on your training and the man in front of and behind you, and rely on your training and the man in front of you and behind you, and we'll see this terrorist nest blown off the map. God bless you, gentlemen, and good night. Glinka dismissed the strike force, heavy hearts with anticipation and inflamed with courage. One last battle, then we can rest easier. Indeed. Specialized unit roles. Is that Tachanka? Yes! LMG mounted and loaded! Oh my god, I have to play the SPA now. That's so fucking base. Jesus. My god. What the actual fuck? The Siberian Black Army is not a fan of us right now. Hopefully we can help them. Meanwhile, we might want to work on Krasnoyarsk. Actually, yeah, we're bordering these guys now. The PRC. Could maybe get working on them, take them out of things. We'll worry about our destiny made manifest. Novosibirsk has spent the last arduous months fighting its internal issues, drugs, crime, and social agitators, but these problems have been solved and our position has been strengthened. Instead of looking in, it's time to look out from our current border. Generals have already been ordered to start drawing up their war plans in preparation for the battles that they are to fight. With the fight of the Federation's army under their command, our conquest of Central Siberia is all but assured. Falcon's wings are no longer clipped, and it's time for the Federation to take flight. Beautiful. 1962. Get our infantry weapons as up to snuff as we can. Luca winced, ears ringing in his helmet, suddenly extremely tight around his head. Rebel flaked off his shoulders like dandruff, dust clogging his mask. He shook his head, attempting to clear his senses. Everything stood still for a moment, a perfect crystal eternity that was shattered by the slap of his backplate. Luca suddenly surged forward, Kalashnikov held at the ready. The concrete tunnels were tight and difficult to fight in, but the breaching blast the SB men had discharged had stunned the Narniks for a crucial moment needed to take them by surprise. Luca's gun shattered in the distinctive Kalashnikov's language, spitting death at shaking communists. Bullets flew back at Luca and his team, and a round grazed his shoulders, already wounded once by the Narniks in Altai. Luca ignored the plan, and he and the SB assault team began to clear the bunker room by room, tunnel by tunnel. It was hard, grueling work. By the time they reached the final stretch of corridor, 10 of the assault force were dead. Finally, Luca and the assault troopers stood before the command center door. It was particularly reinforced steel. The demolition team had already begun to set up a charge. Luca took the opportunity to catch his breath. Among them, the other SB men did the same, sucking in the stale, dusty air of the bunker. After a moment, the rest was over, and the charges detonated. This time, Luca ignored his frazzled senses and rushed inside, shouting for the occupants to surrender. "Fuck! Fuck!" shouted a man covered in pasty white dust, blood trickling from his nose. We're done. We give up. Just stop killing us. Please. The ringleader, 6 in total, Venardiniks, were brought into SB custody. The Red Men of Novosibirsk finally being brought to heel. Another blow against failed ideologies. We did it, guys. We did it, Patrick. We saved the Republic. We saved the Federation, more accurately, I suppose. Shoot. Let's work on the PRC. Yeah, I do think it's kind of funny to say work on the PRC. Tai assumes control of the Gulf. As Alexander Bukrishkin stepped onto the podium and began to speak, the audience listened in rapt attention, for he had been and now was speaking of great futures to come. It was no secret, he began, that the Federation was beginning to look outward, across a border of limited territories that it now occupied, and towards those occupied by the other statelets. Vast expenses, land resources, people, and strategic positions, experiences that would in time fall under the Federation's control. It was only natural, he concluded, the Federation, with Novosibirsk at its heart, possessed a special destiny not seen elsewhere in Siberia. It was a larger city east of the Urals, formed by a critical junction on the primary route of travel across Siberia, and lay in it a major region of development of Bukharin's Siberian plan. Was it not, he concluded, therefore logical that the Federation would leverage those advantages to reclaim the lands rightfully belonged to it? Further, having accomplished that goal, was it not similarly logical that the Federation would continue expansion over all of Siberia? Of course it was. But Prishkin thundered. It was not only logical, it was inevitable. It was right. The Federation had a destiny, a right, to unite Siberia. It would do so, and on that great day, would it stop? No, he said divisively. It will continue pursuing its final destiny, dominion over all of Russia. When he was finished, all applauded. All agreed that it had been a fine speech, but many were doubtful that the dream presented could be delivered. Would they be proven wrong in due time? They hope so. Anyway, I'm going to have to cut it here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you as always for watching. However, if you like this video, leave a like. If not, feel free to dislike. For more of this content in the future, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Uploads every weekday, as well as every Saturday. If you have any comments, feedback, concerns, anything of the sort, go ahead and leave in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get, and I appreciate any feedback you might have for me. If you want to chat or play games, I have a Discord. If you want to see me do sorts of live, I have a Twitch. If you want to watch me, I don't know, if you want to consider sending a few bucks my way every month, I have a Patreon, all of which are linked below. Thank you as always for watching, ladies and gentlemen. My name has been DB333. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.